Hello everyone, I'm here today with a new flip-through video. This one is day 3 of my Staycation album for the Twin Cities. My friend Robin came up from St. Louis and we spent a weekend up here and I got to play tour guide and it was so fun and the weather was beautiful and we saw and did lots of great things. So here is day 3. So for this one we started the day at Minnehaha Falls. Very outdoorsy as you can see. And I just got lucky on this that I had these beautiful cards. These are from an older kit from Coco Daisy, I believe. And they just worked really well. Now, you may notice, it was still pretty green. There wasn't a lot of color happening, but I figured since these were sort of brown and golden hued, it still worked with what we're seeing. So I was able to utilize them, and I just added some green, and then the pops of orange. These are all from the same sticker sheet. It was from a Pretty Little Studio from several years ago. I don't even remember. Might even be as late as 2020. Not sure. But I've had them a long time, so I figured why not use them. And I just sort of placed them around where I thought they fit nicely. And then here I did add a die cut piece of ephemera that I had from a pack of, I think it's from Rosie's Studio. It was all sort of autumn floral and leaf themed. That's where that came from. And we're still at the falls here. I had a ton of photos from this because we kind of walked around several areas. I really had to cut down. So you're not seeing everything I took, but you're seeing a good chunk, I think. You know, it's representative of what we saw. So here was more just in one of the wooded areas as we were walking along the creek. This is before the fall, so you can see it's picking up a little speed there, a little more choppy. But the woods were just so beautiful. And so I chose to go very earthy tones here. So that's why I have a dark, like a chocolate brown. Then there were some sculptures there, so I wanted to include those. And I just used some random fall themed things that I have. I have a lot. This has helped me actually get through my stash because I had a lot of autumn fall themed stuff, more than I really needed. So this album, my New York album, like those are helping me get through that. So here you can see all of that. And then I went with 4x4s. Over here, this was a 4x6 card. I chose to cut it down. But then simple embellishments. And then because there was a pop of red here, I chose to include that with apples, both here and there. We didn't actually see any apples, but I still feel like it works. And as we were leaving the falls, there was just kind of this garden area sort of between there and then walking back to my car. And things were still blooming even though it was mid-October. We'd had really warm weather. That's part of why everything is so green too. Normally, we would have had peak fall color already. This was an odd year. So everything was late, but that meant stuff was still blooming. It was kind of fun to see things that I would not normally see at that time of year. So I tried to match with this color here. So I picked this background paper. I picked this label so that those would match in a visual triangle. And when we were done at Minnehaha Falls, we actually went there first because it was closest to the Airbnb, like really close, like a mile. So that was helpful. We both needed coffee desperately. So I got on the map on my phone and I'm like, what's between there and our next stop? And we found Quixotic. I had never actually been in here. This is on the St. Paul side, just over the river. And it looked cute online. So like, all right, it's on the way. We'll go in there. This is one of my favorite new finds. I'm going to have to get back over there more frequently because I just loved it. Like, the decoration is very simplistic, very black and white. That works for me. I like it. But the staff was super friendly. The choices were great. Like, the coffee I had was called the Notorious FIG instead of BIG because it was fig flavored. So they have very clever names like that, which I'm all for. I appreciate that. And the croissants, perfect. We both had an almond one. They were delicious. Highly recommend it. So if you're in St. Paul, hit up this coffee place. And when we left Quixotic and we were going towards Como Zoo and Conservatory, I didn't want to get on the freeway or anything because it wasn't like that far. It took me some back roads, so we got to pass through some residential areas, and we found quite a few houses where I could just stop the car, we could jump out, take pictures. Like, people did some really clever decorations this year. It makes me want to go back And when I say this year, I mean 2025, because when I'm filming this, it's 2025. But it makes me want to go back for 2026 and just see, like, do they do different things every year? Are these same houses doing this? You know, do they choose to decorate every year? I'm really glad that we found some of these, because now I know that this area is a place to check out. And then here, again, I really needed to pare down. I had a lot. So I just picked cards that matched. Love the bats and the skulls, and then you can see these yards like really did it up well. And I tried to go with this color, like this mulch here, to match things, and I think that worked out pretty well. And then we got back in the car and we finally made it over to Como. So here's the conservatory. We actually did do the zoo as well, at least part of it, but I didn't include photos from that because I'm there all the time. Like, I don't need a ton of photos to showcase that, but we did get some of those. But here is the conservatory. This was outside. I loved the color scheme. I love the way they chose to put everything together in the planters. It was just very well done. So here we are inside the first part of the conservatory. The big draw for that is the sunken garden, where they change out flower shows periodically throughout the year. We'll get to that, but even the areas leading up to that, like this is kind of the entryway, and then you go into the fern room, and there are like 4 other areas. They're all lovely, so don't skip them if you go. But this was on the outside, and I liked this Spooktober, beware. I liked the little setup they had here, and I chose to pick out the yellow from this, and I happen to have a card that's a pumpkin, but it was much more yellow the way it was colored, and I felt like that worked pretty well. And these were so busy that having all this literal white space, like, it helped the eye rest from all of the sensory stuff happening here. On this side, I chose to do a 4x8 collage because, again, lots of stuff blooming in the other areas. This is where they have all the orchids, and so there were a lot of things to see there, and it just happened a lot of the flowers blooming in there were purple, so I was able to use that. This was a template. It already said afternoon. It comes black. I switched it to be purple so that it would match this. And then I just chose kind of an off-white, slightly tan background because I tried it with white first. That's the way it comes. And it felt way too stark to me against all this purple. This felt kind of like a calmer, more peaceful transition into the photos. So I went with that. Now we're into the sunken garden area, and you can see why. This is why people go there. People have weddings here. I actually know someone who got married there, but you can only have 50 people in there. That is your max guest count. So if you're going to do it, it has to be a pretty small wedding, and everybody basically has to stand up above on this platform area, and then anything else happening in a wedding would happen down here. It's tight. I mean, even when there's a lot of people visiting, it can get very tight in there. Luckily, when we were here, it was still fairly early in the day. It was not super crowded. I mean, like, this is crazy that I would get a shot with so few people in it. So I love it that happened, and that Robin got to experience that as well. And here I kind of went with the pinky red-ish tones that were in here. So I found this little label it's a cutoff piece that I used earlier from another label. That fit right there. That's more purple. And then here's that kind of pinky. And I thought they both worked. And then over here, I love being able to use page protectors like this when I have photos that suit it. And florals are perfect for that because you don't need a full 4x6 to showcase a lot of it. So it works well here. And I picked out 4 for this side, and I just picked out some inserts that matched. Originally, I had a 2x2 square in there, and I just felt like it almost looked too blocky. And so I decided to switch it out and have one round one. And luckily I was able to find something on the other side that would match. And that's a full 2-inch circle. So it worked out perfectly. And then here, this card just happened to have orange in it, which was great. And then this was a sticker I bought in the gift shop. Of course we had to go in there. And I know Robin bought at least one too. I don't think she bought this one. Maybe it was a different one. If her flip-thru's out by the time this comes out, I'll link it if I remember to, and then you can compare kind of what I did to what she did. And then there we are. That's us inside the conservatory. I suck at doing selfies. You can tell I took this one because I'm like way up front. She's behind me. It's a weird angle, kind of, really. I mean, we were not that far apart, but she looks tiny and I look huge here. But you know what? We got in the photo, and that's what counts. And so I just added this up here. This is a sticker set I had from Creative Memories. I used some here as well. This transparent circle here, I believe, was from Allie Edwards, if I remember right. And then I just happened to have this. Already, it was made to be a 2x2. It came on some Halloween-y, fall-themed sheet. I don't think it's Simple Stories. Maybe it's their spooky line. Simple Stories. But I loved it that it had the lavender in it because I had a lot of that happening here, purple tones, so that worked out well. And then here I went with a 3x8 because I had just a couple more that I wanted to fit in there. This one I did like the long view since there's a little bridge there. And then I just happened to catch this one of Robin while we were at the back end of the conservatory looking towards the front. So that worked out well. So after that, we went out to the zoo area. That's the part that you don't see because I didn't put any of those photos in there. We went to Minneapolis. We drove over there, parked in a ramp. And before this, we saw First Avenue, which is our famous music venue. That's where Prince came up. Lots of famous people have played there. Macklemore. All on the side of the buildings, there are white stars with the names of people that have played there that have become relatively famous or very famous, as this case may be. I have pictures of that. I have plenty, so I didn't include that here. But I had never stopped to really look at the Bob Dylan murals. So I thought, you know what? They're within blocks of each other. I'm going to go over there. So we went and saw those. I didn't realize how cool they were. The mosaic look to this. They're so colorful. And because the Bob Dylan movie was out somewhat recently, it just seemed fitting. So I did choose to include those. But because these backgrounds were so colorful already, I just did a purple heart and called it good. So after that, it was actually drizzling a little bit. Very, very light rain. And we wanted to just get in somewhere and have a late lunch because we hadn't really eaten anything. We had that croissant early in the morning and that was it. So we went around downtown for a couple blocks. Because it was a Sunday, downtown is geared for businesses or for the theater, but those usually are late matinee or evening. There was nothing really open around there that we wanted. Nothing looked good and the choices were slim. We happened to find this, which was inside one of the hotels. It actually turned out being a really good stop. We liked our food. The staff was great. It was quiet in there. So we had great service. It ended up being a really good pit stop. So I wanted to showcase that. And I love the colors and how they had everything decorated. And that booth was actually really comfortable. So for here, all I did was I put a phrase on there because I liked that. And then I happened to have this puffy sticker with Good Eats that I felt kind of was a cross between this color and this, sort of reddish brown. And I think that was a good choice. And after that, this was our one lame kind of bummer thing about this weekend adventure. We had signed up to do this pop-up bar, and it was called the Nightmare Bar. It was supposed to be mostly themed Nightmare for Christmas. The reviews from other cities that I checked were great. Ours sucked. We had the Tamu version of this in Minneapolis. It was not good. It was barely decorated, as you'll see. It was a super small area. They had one character who was kind of dressed up as Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas. That was it. The guy helping to serve drinks in this thing wasn't dressed up. He was just wearing all black. The other cities said oh, we have a trivia contest and you can win prizes. Hello, our table actually won the trivia contest. It was myself, my husband, and Robin. We won it. We got nothing. They didn't even announce that we were the winners. Not that we needed all the attention on us, but it's more fun when you're kind of being a little competitive. And it was really lame. And then we ordered our drinks that you get one included and then you could buy others. They were so bad, none of us finished our drinks. I couldn't do it. I tried and I just couldn't do it. So, sadly, not a good experience. But I at least took pictures of the decorations. So that's why I used this one, Keeping It Real. I was keeping it real here. It was not fun. So that's why when I found this and it said fun, thought that's perfect. Maybe it will be. Maybe not. It was not. We left early even too. We left our drinks there and said we're out of here. We told the staff we're not going to finish those. We're just done. So here, some of the tables were cute and they had some things overhead, but it was just such a tiny area, and they had a huge lobby area in this hotel that they could have used. They chose not to. They chose to use this tiny side room thing. I don't even know what you call it. It's not even big enough to be a conference room, really. I don't know why they did that. And then here, these were more Beetlejuice themed things, which I like. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'll take pictures of that. But that's really all I have because it was lame. So after this, our last major stop of the day was the Normandale Japanese Garden. I will say, in between there, because this was lame when we left early, we did go to the Russian Museum for like 45 minutes. I get in there free, so it was on the way. We're like, we'll stop in. Again, I'm there so much, I did not scrap that. I have plenty of photos of that, but we did make that stop. So after that, Japanese Garden at Normandale. That's a community college. Not too far from the airport, actually. It's in Bloomington. So we went there. And these students are so lucky to have this on their campus. So here I actually I thought originally I was going to do 2x2 pockets. And so I had all these cut and then changed my mind. So I put them back together into a 4x4, which worked out just fine. And I just used one little embellishment there in the center. And then over here you can kind of see, similar to previous pictures where there's just a little bit of color kind of peeking in there. It was not super colorful yet, but it was enough. And I had this available, this chipboard piece. I think this is from Echo Park. So I chose to do that. I found an orange phrase, put it on here, and thought, you know what, that's pretty good. And then there was a picture of each of us, which was kind of nice. It balances it out, and then we're both represented, which is great. So when we left there, it was just heading to the airport after that. And because of where we were located, I didn't even really have to get on major roads to get to the airport. So we're driving down this road and I see St. Michael's Church. And I happened to look over and these trees were just ablaze in their parking lot of all places. And why these were so orange and red and others weren't, I have no idea. The sun must have just been hitting them like just right or something. But look at that. These were the best we saw the whole time she was up here. So I said, you know what, we have time. We're not rushed to get to the airport. We're going to stop. So we parked the car in their parking lot and we walked around their grounds a little bit and got these photos. And I'm so happy we did because they're just so lovely. And I had this tree as well, chipboard, also from it's either Cardabella or Echo Park. So I had that. I had this background paper I thought that worked perfectly. And then I also had this was already cut to a 4x6, this background. So I thought, well, perfect. And it's leaves in the background. So I just took my 3x4 card, journaled on that, added a couple of little embellishments. This is also chipboard. These are from the same set, actually, if I remember right. And I pulled this border sticker from somewhere else and used that. But I thought this was perfect. I love the shading here. And it's a nice offset to this being so, so red. And then as we were leaving, it was sunset, and this is what we were treated to. In that same parking lot, it's just looking a different direction. You can see how green it is here, so not red at all, like these. Green along the horizon there, but that sunset was stunning. So we just happened to really be in the right place at the right time. So I wanted to close out with that, and I love that it says choose gratitude. I was so grateful that number one, my friend was able to come and see me. Not everybody's able to travel, so I appreciate that she was able to do that and that I was able to show her around all weekend. We had a fabulous time, and then it was time to take her to the airport. So now you've seen all of my Staycation Twin Cities album. This is the Echo Park album that I used, and it is now complete. Thanks for watching.